everyone, it's your favorite CEO, Miss Flo, back again with another episode of Neon Mike where the conversation just glows. I'm here with a special guest where we met at, it was the Artemis, an open mic. And we have Tyler on Demand. First of all, love the name. I love
Thank you.
Like, I think it's like super awesome. And I love the song that you performed at the open mic. Where does the time go?
Yeah.
Why did you decide to go with that song for the open mic?
So the working title is actually Garden, and it did just come out recently. That one. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Thank me on Mike, Miss Flo. I appreciate you. Good afternoon. This is a good place to be. But yeah, that song is my most recent one in this homegrown series I'm doing, which is featuring songs where I've made the beats for. Kind of a newer arc in my creative journey. So I really enjoyed that and finding the pockets. And so it was just the perfect opportunity to show it off. It had come out recently, or I think it was about to come out when I had done it at that open mic. So it was just really cool to get some reaction to it. There's some familiar faces in there, some new ones like yourself that I got some good reaction from. And that song is about planting a seed and letting it grow. Just like a garden, this music takes time, it takes attention, and it takes a lot of effort until results actually start to show. And I was kind of reflecting on that, the time I've spent in DC making music and the people I've been around, and it turned into that song.
All right, awesome. Like, I get that because I think when we were building our craft and when you're in the midst of it, you don't always see the instant gratification or the reward. It's something that builds over time. And even speaking with a few other artists is like, I don't want to give up what I'm doing because I've spent so much time working at it. So it's like, I want to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So like, I think that's like the perfect song to have at an open mic for sure. But you mentioned your time spent in DC. Are you not from the DMV area?
No, so originally I'm from Toronto, Canada, actually. Yeah, Canadian boy. Yeah. I've been a couple places in my life and I've lived a few places, but I moved here from Boston where I was going to school about 5 years ago now. So DC is definitely home enough with my current life and a lot of growth I've done kind of stepping into my adult life. And I've got a special connection to here, but no, not from here. And I've had the pleasure of meeting a lot of people from here and learning a lot of stuff about this place. I've seen some changes, both, politically, societally, like environmentally around just being here in the 5 years in DC. So it's been cool to attach to it in a way.
No, well, welcome to DC. I'm glad that you were able to make it home. How has being in DC impacted your music? Going from Canada and to Boston,
right?
DC, like how has that impacted your music?
So I kind of stepped into actually being good. Like once I got here, to your point of not seeing a lot of instant gratification, I would say my like the previous big step I had taken was in 2020 when I was in Boston, and that like was an artistic step where I'm like, okay, I'm putting out stuff that I'm actually proud of now, and fully confidently will show people like, hey, check this out. Before that, it's the SoundCloud postings, it's here and there. You just try to make what you can make and just try to find your style as an artist. And so after that happened in 2020, I moved here in 2021. I actually felt confident and was able to step into more artist circles, more things like, these open mics. Shout out the Pocket on North Capitol Street. That's one I go to a lot. And I was able to tap in with a lot more, I would say, underground. I work with a group called TSK, or I'm part of a group, TSK, the Too Sweet Click, headed up by Don Kuzan. And they do a lot of like underground Baltimore, Maryland, PG County area music. And I had never really experienced that before I moved here. And, they took me under their wing, and we've made some good stuff so far. And we've got a lot more good stuff coming. But overall, I've had a lot more local connection to underground music and people, especially live shows, really getting it from the mud and like building it themselves. And that's been a benefit to me to be part of and watch, and then also apply to my own stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you were able to, like, as you were migrating through the upper, like in the east side, like you were able to kind of hone your craft and really build toward it. Plus, I feel like in 2020 during the pandemic, you got nowhere else to go.
You know what I mean?
You're just sitting there, just like, I got time.
It's just me, the mic, and Logic Pro at that point, right? So we're gonna figure something out. And YouTube. Shout out to YouTube early on.
That you had plenty of resources to just perfect your craft, and that's like really awesome.
I would say to that point, my best resource was people. Even in that time, I would like to shout out my homie Emil, the producer, part of a group I'm in called ETA. Alexander Henry's our third member. It's kind of like our pop, R&B, hip hop side project that we all do from our individual stuff. And we came together in 2020. But I met Emil through a mutual friend named Dreamer. And like since I met him, he brought me into engineering session. He's an engineer and a producer. So he was working at a studio at the time. We would go in after hours, recording sessions, and just really both of us were growing. Both of us were honing stuff. We were kind of at similar, I would say, stops in the path, right? Him on the producer engineer route, me as an artist. So we really did get to kind of help shape each other's sounds and work ethics and things like that. And we still do stuff today. ETA is still active. And so that, to your point of resources, was a big benefit. Absolutely.
Awesome. And I'm glad that you were still able to like connect with certain individuals during a time where we were mostly isolated.
For sure.
So like you were able to find your community. Looking through your Instagram, I love your tagline. It's like you have many meanings. Oh, and yeah, hold on. I tried to do it on top of my head, but it was like, it was really dope. And hold on. Come on, Instagram. Because this is the thing. Instagram will work against you in the most like
never works when you want it to.
I'm saying.
But it'll work for a doom scroll. It'll get me in a second.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the tagline: a man of many meanings and abilities.
Yes.
So how do you define yourself and what are you capable of?
I think kind of to my point about my origins and hopping around a lot, I part of the middle journey of places I lived over in the Middle East. I lived over in Qatar. I lived over in Abu Dhabi for a while. And each of these places that I've lived and spent a lot of time are part of me. I would say there's no like one central place that I necessarily call home, but each one of them have pieces of me and parts of my path along the way. And I've just noticed that has shaped a certain understanding that manifests in a lot of different ways. There's music. I'm a radio producer as well. I like to tell stories. I like to, tall tales and entertain people just of the things that I've seen in the places that I want to go from here. And I'm capable of artistically a lot. My raps have really stepped up, I think, since I got here to DC, just in terms of trying to do new things, new flows, new pockets. Production has stepped up. I had to step into video editing a lot more and like audio editing. So in terms of hard skills, there's a lot of abilities that are behind a lot of the things the public sees and maybe not the process. And a lot of those have been built, I mentioned out of the mud earlier, but the ground up. A lot of these skills were self-taught and developed and eventually professionally landed me in places, artistically landed me in places. And I'm in an era where a lot of those skills are paying dividends. So I'm able to tell a lot of stories. I'm able to explain a lot of things. I'm able to understand a lot of people. And I think that level of communication and ability to relate translates through the music and other crafts that I do. And so a lot of those abilities, sometimes they're flexing in my raps. Sometimes they're, the depth of detail in a cover art that you don't really understand unless maybe you hear me explain it on a podcast. And then it all kind of links together into its own world and creates its own garden in a sense. So I would say I'm mostly speaking artistically, but in terms of where I've been in life, I've seen a lot of things at a lot of different phases, and that translates into applying to today.
All right, you're quite the nomad. Oh my god,
a little bit, yeah. I wouldn't say it's all my doing, especially early on. We moved around because family and work and things like that, but it's definitely left lasting impressions. That the older I get, it influences me in a lot of positive ways and helps me make a lot of, I would say, cool decisions on being in cool places, connecting with interesting people like Miss Flo.
Oh, thank you. And then speaking of like finding the right spot, like how did you hear about the open mic at the Artemis?
So that one, Death Barthani, I've like mutuals mostly through Kuzan. I think I had met him, but he also had been to the Pocket a few times. I've shouted them up a couple times, but there's an open mic every Tuesday. Really a place that I've honed my craft and found a lot of creative people in the community. So I definitely shout them out for that. Free event, artists listening, pull up. You just throw your name in a hat and hopefully you get picked. You get 2 songs. It's a good time. And people actually stay to listen. So that helps. What was your original question? Sorry.
How did you... you kind of answered it. It's like, how did you like find out about the open mic at the Artemis?
Oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, I knew the host, Death Barthani, and I had another friend. Oh shit, is his name? I hope we can cuss a little bit.
That's fine.
I'd met him as well at the Pocket, and I knew they were both going. Kuzan had a set on there, and I was performing with him as well. So I was like, all right, throw my name in the open mic. If we ever show up at a place, I'm always down to get on the mic a little bit if there's an offer for it. So most of the time, word of mouth. I know enough artists now that are doing a lot of things that if it's on Instagram or if I talk to them and they tell me about a new spot that I could check out, the social power is really how I found most of the places.
All right, that's dope. Because like, I'm glad you're able to find your tribe in the music community, because I recently came from a panel that talked about the music infrastructure in DC and the DMV in general. Because like, I'm coming across amazing artists like yourself. But I'm just like, I feel like a lot of the talent in the DMV should be bigger. And the conversation was centered around like, do I have to leave DC to get love.
I see. Okay.
So, like, how's your experience in terms of like building your music career and
Right.
taking it to the next level? Do you feel a bit of a hindrance, or do you feel like you have found your tribe and like it's continuing to elevate?
Right. Well, I'm really interested in what you mean by infrastructure and like kind of what the panel is about. So definitely want to come back to that. But I think, like I said, I'm not from around here and I didn't start my journey here. So maybe the scale of growth that I've felt here might not be reflective of somebody who actually is like intimate with the music scene here or has been trying for a long time. I would say that because pretty early on I found somewhere like the Pocket where people were so insulated, you're able to grow stuff out of that. That was like its own kind of self-fulfilling thing. And limited in terms of it's a small venue, like it's only 75 people, right? So in terms of actual performing aspirations, eventually if you want to do more, you're gonna have to go somewhere else. But I don't know. I feel like I've had a decent like a decent go at reaching out to venues and like making my own path. And but I also think it's a double, what's the word? It's like double-handed not being from around here. Because I think when you're not from somewhere, maybe you see some things or like other things don't hold you back of a certain place. And it's no, you know, aspersion cast on anybody. I think we just are somewhere you have attachments that it makes you think a certain way, or like you said, the infrastructure makes you believe you have to move in a certain way. But I don't know. I think the idea of a larger music market, yeah, somewhere like New York or LA or Atlanta, obviously those are going to be bigger pools than DC. Um, but the type of talent that I've seen around here is just as worthy as any of those places, if not more. So I don't know. I haven't really had a huge go at like public radio stations or I don't know, labels around here or big contracts and things like that. It's been more local shows, things from the ground level, grassroots, and then trying to break into that next level. So I guess maybe we do this in a year and I'll have a better answer on my goes at that.
Well, yeah. So to help elaborate, so the conversation was centered with like two aspects. One, the more business side of music.
Right.
So it's just like so artists are not taking advantage of, um, but they have some knowledge of like this is what your contract is supposed to look like. This is
Right.
how they divvy up the money. Um, this is how you can negotiate your masters. That type of thing. Like that
Sure. I see.
knowledge isn't maybe always available or
Yeah.
hand for like the DC artists.
Yeah.
And then to another artist that was actually on the panel, Malik Dope. He has reached success with being on America's Got Talent,
Oh,
but
nice.
when he comes back home, it's just kind of like he gets like feels small, or people try to make him feel small, like
Okay.
saying like, "Oh yeah, I remember the days where I put money in your bucket."
Oh,
Or like he has made certain strides to like even do partnerships with like he has his own brand of drumsticks, but they're not moving like they're supposed to. And it's like
okay.
he's you know what I mean, like he's hoping like coming back to his hometown,
Right.
like he could be celebrated and still elevate,
Right.
but it just feels like that he gets more love and better energy outside of DC. You see
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying, and that makes me think of like the classic new kid effect back from high school, right? Where the new person shows up and they're all the rage, and like maybe that applies to when you go somewhere else because you are a brand new face and talent that they haven't seen before. And then yeah, I think there's something about not getting love in your hometown that is
Oh, I can't hear you.
we good?
Yeah, there we
We
go.
back? Sorry about
Okay.
that. Hit the button
Yeah.
here. I believe I was saying there's something to like not getting love in your hometown, of course, is troubling. But maybe do you feel that way? Because are you from around here? Do you feel like that's been your experience in your journey?
I say like I'm definitely born and raised in DC. I feel like I do get a lot of love. Like I bumped into someone that turned out to be a fan that I went in my earlier stages of starting the publication. It was at Sycamore Oak, and I remember I can't remember which store he was working at, but like I was at there for an event, and he came in like, "Hey, do you remember me? I still follow your stuff. I still like love
Wow.
your work and the conventions that you're doing." So it depends. Like, yeah, I'm still in humble beginnings myself,
Sure.
you know, but it's like when the people that I connect with are actually majority of them are people that I have met that I have encountered, whether they have been on the show or I just like advertise the publication a little bit. So at some point they have like seen me in person. So but again, I'm also not because like I also feel like but the lanes may be a little bit different because I'm a podcaster, I'm a journalist. So that vibe may be a little bit different for someone that maybe that is a musician. Oh no, where'd you go? I looked away.
Sorry, I held up my hand to be like, oops, because I had to change the cord. My little thing ran out of battery. But is this good? Can you still hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay.
Technical difficulties, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's like it happens all the time.
Sorry, I guess they ran out of battery. But we all good here.
Yeah.
But I do hear what you're saying about the different lane of podcasting. I have a bit of experience just in terms of like hosting shows and making shows. Back in college days, I did radio there, like college radio. Then afterwards, I hosted a couple kind of similar to what you're doing here. We're talking to creatives, trying to pick their brain. It's called Rabbit Hole Sessions. I did one called the TOD Show, more interview style. And then now I host a show called The Program on Eaton Radio. And that's a 1 hour slot every month, about hour 15, where I kind of recap events of the month that I've been to. And I'm sure this will be featured on the next episode. Absolutely. And then just like discuss either creative topics, like things that I have of the day, or I've had a lot of guests on and had them perform live as well. So I do feel that's a different creative process. It's kind of nice to be adjacent from the music, right? It's like a little separate, but I get to incorporate a lot of different aspects to it. So, yeah, that's, yeah,
no,
I relate to your process there.
Yeah, I did see that you do host your own podcast. So how did you get started? Because you just mentioned like you done radio, while you were at college. Right. But how did you start this podcast?
So this one, I actually was there as a guest. It's this place called Eaton DC. It's a hotel right downtown. Maybe you're familiar. And they have a radio booth set up right out front. So it's like you face out to the street. And it's mostly been DJ shows from what I know of. And like, that's a lot of their shows is DJs playing music, spinning. It's really cool to walk by. It's decorated beautifully. They got records everywhere, like posters on the wall. It's fantastic. And I was there as a guest for a friend who was DJing, kind of just there hanging out. They've got like a little table you can sit at. And then there's a second time that I was on the show called Nice Groove. Shout out Manny and Dag. They're the hosts there, where me, mentioned Don Kuzan, and then another artist, Mob of One, went on to perform, basically do some live performances to promo a show that we had. And from there, I was like, okay, this is 2 times. I really like this place. I know I've kind of wanted to get a show going again because I'd taken a break for a while after I'd moved here to kind of focus more on the music. And I thought, but this would be a really good time to bring it back. And I just got the contact info from them, from Manny and Dag. And from there, started emailing. Shout out Andrew, who's the guy who runs things there. And we got it set up. It took a couple months of just trying to figure out what kind of show I wanted to do, timing, a little bit of training in the station. But it's been great. The fact that it's monthly helps me not like stress out over it too much, right? Like if it was weekly, I think it'd be really easy to kind of feel the pressure of the grindstone getting to you. And that's kind of, I've experienced that before. So it's like, it's nice that this is a little more spread out. I get to plan each show about a month in advance, talk to some guests, work on some stuff in the background. And for what it's worth, it's still a one-man show. So making clips and doing all the socials and all that stuff, it's still just me, right? So it gives me time to like roll that out a little bit over the next month. And I kind of treat them as they just flow into each other. And it's been a cool experience so far. We're only like 5 episodes in. Episode 6 will be July 1st. Look at my calendar, but I can't see it from here. So it's gonna be a good time.
All right, that's awesome. I check out that spot because that seems like really cool.
I think you would like it. In fact, I think they would like to have you as well. So, might be worth talking to.
Oh yeah. Do you have to like pay for the booth or
no. They just have a space provided for creatives. The whole hotel, like their whole kind of ethos is geared towards artists and creatives. Like if you walk around the lobby, they've got a lot of cool stuff. And I haven't got to explore too much beyond the actual first floor, but they're geared towards people who are trying to make their creative dreams kind of come off the ground. They have a lot of facilities. And I know they did an event for Ari Lennox when she was in town. It was like a pop-up kind of thing. Yeah, I think it was like a pop-up merch and maybe an opportunity to get tickets through the hotel, something like that. But so they do a lot of stuff like that I'm starting to discover, but it's a really cool place. Shout out to them.
Awesome. So I'm gonna need you to send me the link.
Absolutely.
Because I would definitely love to check that out. And then of course I would love to share that space with my mentees because they have a podcast too, but we don't want always to do things online.
Sure.
I know we had to do it today, but it's just like, it's good to like now be in person and just have that vibe one-on-one. And just to like imagine like being outside and you have like the DC scenery in the background. Really nice. Like that looks dope.
I get distracted sometimes on air because I'm just kind of like looking out the window and it's just green leaves and sunshine, so it's a double-edged sword, but it's definitely a lot more positive.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
definitely check that out for sure.
Hell yeah.
And so, ooh, so what is next for you in your
Mhm.
musical journey? Like, what is the
Right.
next project? Because you
So
know you
I'm
talked about. I'm sorry, you were
no,
talking
you're
about
good.
the
Mhm.
garden, and it's like it's going to be like a full album, an EP.
Right. So that is going to be part of something I'm working on called the Homegrown EP. I kind of mentioned that's the arc I'm on with making a lot of this stuff at home. Make it at home and then shout out to High Life Studios. That's normally where I go record. And then I've got the experts to mix and master it for me. But being on the production side, making the beats has been always something I kind of wanted to do from the start of making music and, early garage band days of just trying to throw 20 loops together and figure something out. That was a thing for sure. But it's a lot better now where I've reintroduced it into my creative process, and I find myself like impressing myself even, and that's a nice feeling. In when I've been rapping for a long time and like writing for a long time, probably like wow, almost 10 years now at this point, actually putting music out, but writing for a little longer. So it's nice to kind of reinvigorate yourself in a different way, and I've always thought that this would be the avenue into really discovering my specific artistic voice. Right, I'm creating the pockets, I'm creating the soundscapes, I'm creating the story from really the ground up. So that is going to be an EP that I'm working on called the Homegrown EP, and it's probably going to be. I'm still honestly, I'm still adding some songs to it, so it's probably going to be 5 through 7 ish songs, but of just stuff that I made at home, and a couple are going to be features, a couple solo stuff, but a nice little dose of what Tyler on Demand's doing. And then I'm really excited for later in this year. I want to put out a project that are just a bunch of collab songs that I have with people that I know from around here, friends new and old, just kind of giving you a slice of life. And that one's gonna be really fun. I've been putting in a lot of groundwork now, so I don't know, maybe mid to late fallish for that one. But homegrown, I'm hoping still during the summertime. So hold me to it. I'm working on it.
No, like I get it because like when you're working on a project, artists is like we're very particular about
Mhm.
how it's going to sound, what's going to be.
Yeah.
So it's like I never try to really hold myself to a deadline. You know what I mean? Because it's
Yeah.
like it'll be ready when it's ready.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to like hit you like you want to put it out there in the summer, go ahead and put
No,
it
no,
out there in the
I
summer.
hear what you're saying though.
But it's like I don't want you to be like rough on yourself. It's like, I feel like I could add more, or I feel like
Yeah.
because you never know. You can have it one way, but then something could be it like inspire you
Yeah.
to like change it in a completely different
True.
direction.
No, you're
So
absolutely right. And there's always
that's
more time to put out more music, so I can always make some more, put it on homegrown too, or something like that. So I do like the idea of, as you're saying, taking the time because already some of the older songs have kind of changed a little bit, or I have made the modifications. I'm like, wow, I never would have thought of that unless maybe I was listening to it in this one place today, or if somebody else had shown me something about it yesterday, blah, 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 blah. So it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a nice manicured grove of good music.
that's awesome. And so for those that haven't heard your music yet,
Mhm.
how would you describe your sound?
Sound wise, I would say it's pretty grounded, but then like I try to do a lot of more ethereal soundscapes. So more like think big three post blog era type of rappers, the Drake, Kendrick Coles, Big Sean's. My favorites coming up were Drake, Cuddy, No Name, Frank Ocean. So a lot of stuff where it's like familiar soundscapes, but the storytelling and then the specific little intricacies are what makes it unique. So I'd say a lot of that. It's a lot of music that you're kind of vibing to, but you're also listening to. I recently have been trying to make more a lot of things you can listen to, like gym wise, riding a bike. Like if it's a sunny day, you just walk in and you want to listen to some good tunes, or if you want to go on, frankly, an audio adventure. It's like you reading a book while you walk in, right? So I tried to do a lot of storytelling, a lot of songs that will engage you, inspire you, make you laugh a little bit. I like to add in some clever lines, little quips here and there. That's the Lil Wayne influence in me, and I like to bring it all together.
That's super. I love that. I feel
Yeah,
like that was like my genre of music growing up in like
right.
in high school, and I think that I am starting to see more of a trend where we're getting back to storytelling
Yeah, absolutely.
in music, and I think that's like what kind of like that's how you stood out in the open mic.
I appreciate it.
You know what I mean? So it's like we need the. I want a picture of like what's going on. I love to hear the metaphor,
Mm,
but it's also the nice vibe to be
yeah.
very chill, relaxing. I could like listen to your music and just sit.
Right.
You know
Yeah,
what I
and just
mean?
kind of chill. Maybe light a candle. Read. Throw something on the like a visualizer on the screen or something, and just kind of hang out.
No, and that's what like I really appreciate about your music. So when it comes to your process, which do
Mhm.
you feel more comfortable? Like, what do you like better? Like, you like writing the lyrics or creating the
Sure.
beat?
I think it's always going to be lyrics for me. It's always kind of started there. Like I mentioned, just storytelling in general, the type of books I've always read, just trying to like write, whether it's fiction writing or just kind of nonfiction stuff in my life, has always been of interest to me. Um, so I think it's always going to kind of start there. That's where I think the story starts, and that's where I think you build it from the ground up. And then surrounding it in this beautiful soundscape is its own really enjoyable process. I think I'm still just new in it, and I haven't done it as long. I've had the pleasure of seeing a lot of producers along the way in their process and like taking bits from it and realizing where moments click in production processes that have been fantastic. And now that I'm starting to see them in my own, it's becoming more and more enjoyable. You know what I mean? Like I'm doing it more and more often because once you actually start hitting a flow of something, you're like, well, now I can't get enough. Now I got to keep going. What else can I learn? And, not to say I'm working all the time 24/7, but I'm giving myself the space and time to apply like really intense effort. And it's not intense in terms of like I'm going overboard, but just intense of like I'm really into it. I'm really liking what's going on. So lyrics will always be the number one for me. But this tape, I will say, I am leaning more into the production carrying stuff. And it's not to say you won't get a good song or a good verse, but I have taken my raps seriously for a very long time. And they still are serious, but sometimes you got to loosen the reins to be able to find that new flow or like that new pocket, that new comfortability that I think people can relate to. So it's going to be a nice little new experiment for Tyler on Demand, but you'll always still have the lyrics. That's number one.
All right, that's love it. I love like putting like lyrics first
You know,
because like people have to understand like when it comes to music, I feel like as a society we don't pay attention to lyrics a lot. I
sure.
was singing a lot of Missy Elliott
Ooh.
songs
Uh
when I was younger, and then I look back it's like, oh,
oh.
I shouldn't have been singing that as a
Yeah.
kid. But it's like, but I feel like we do need to appreciate lyrics more because music is it's therapy. It's a great way to
Absolutely.
connect, um, and just kind of like help understand life. It's like a very sitcom moment when a song comes on randomly, like on shuffle,
Mhm.
but it fits what you're going through in the moment. And
Right. Like right now. Yeah. Yep.
I'm like, Alexa knows
Whoa.
too
Yeah.
much.
Well,
Like she's
that's
like,
true. That's a
it's
different
just
problem.
like, why do you know what I'm feeling right now? But
Right. Right. Right.
I'm gonna add this song to the playlist.
Mhm.
So it's just like I appreciate that you do take the time to work on your lyrics. But
Mm.
it's also fun to make like a cute beat. Like I have my students do it when we try to do like intros to
Fun.
podcasts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
it's interesting to connect like instruments and merge them together to like make something
Yeah.
fun. You
Because they're
know?
telling their own story too, and a lot of times it's speaking to you, and you're just trying to translate it, right? Like a lot of production, it feels like that to be what instrument is saying right now, what these drums are saying right now. Okay, now how do we like, how can I be the Rosetta Stone of translating it all into the same language so that we're all talking to each other and like it's beautiful. So I'm enjoying a lot of it, and I think it's going to go a lot better as the time goes. So it's an exciting process.
That and I love to hear it. I can't
Ah,
wait
thanks.
till your project drops. Please send me the
Thank you.
link immediately.
Absolutely.
And where can people find you online?
Tyler on Demand 13, like 1 3, is pretty much everywhere. Instagram, I'm the most active with posting stuff. Instagram's kind of like my sandbox. So like
Yeah.
I like to play with it a little bit, but it also is a lot of the announcements for songs, for shows, for things like the program. The program is its own page, theprogram.dc. You can find that there. But check me out on YouTube, every streaming platform. I'm Tyler on Demand, lowercase o on the on. That I think that'll help the search pop up a little sooner. But check me out there. I got a lot of new stuff coming, and I appreciate the chance to talk about it. So thank you.
Oh, no problem. And I can't wait to hear your work. And are you doing like any upcoming shows this summer?
Nothing that's like too big yet. I mean, I'll be on some friend spots throughout the summer. I do have an opening spot August 1st. We're gonna be at the Pocket, actually. Adopted Enemies throwing kind of a 6 to 7 artist showcase, about 20, 25, maybe 30 minutes each. So that'll be a good little dose if you want to see me live. Shout out to Hey Contra. I was on their spotlight set for their open mic at Looking Glass Lounge last month. That was a lot of fun. But I'm still working on exactly what the headline is going to be this summer. I did a lot. Well, I mean, I didn't do a lot of headlines last summer, but I did a lot of shows last summer, including a few headline ones that I really enjoyed, but really showed me that the next one I kind of want to craft a little more and think about a little more, figure out the perfect spot, Am I going to get a band? I played with the band at the last one and it was a lot of fun. So I'm like, okay, how are we going to do that? I've got a lot of new music that's going to need some new additions to it. So I'm taking my time. I do want this summer to be able to do a little headline. So I'm going to plan on it, but stay tuned. Stay tuned. August 1st will be the next confirmed time to see me live, though.
That's awesome. And I'll definitely be staying tuned and see how you guys glowed from that conversation. I'm going to catch you guys next time. Peace. Bye.
You gotta start a garden, wait to see first. I said it plenty times, work it into this verse. I'm on my feet up, yeah, I'm grateful that my knees work. It got me weather the rain until it dispersed. And it hurts when I think of the times when I had to translate all my feelings to rhymes. Couldn't keep my head straight or stay between the lines. Method couldn't make it, let my calling decline.